I went to a healer and I asked him what he did. He said, just come and see me. Went to his house. He sat me down. He started talking to me. And he said, you know, I just want you to lay on my table here. A nice kind of a table that many of you use. And he sat me down and started running his hands over me and doing this. And he said, you know, it's interesting. And started feeling some things. And I worked with him 2 hours, 2 sessions. And by the second session, all my problems were completely gone. My physical issues were completely gone. And I went back to my therapist because some emotional things were coming up from the work he did energetically. It brought up some emotional issues that started moving through me, and I had to process through that with my therapist. So I was seeing my therapist, then I go see the healer, go see my therapist. Seeing the healer was a great match. And at the same time, I was in my fellowship doing the psychopharm research at UCSD. So during the day, I was Clark Kent. At night, I became Superman, or at least I was with people who were Superman and Superwoman. And when we got done working, it was about 4 months, I worked with my healer, and I said, I want to learn what you do. And he goes, I don't teach you. It kind of sounds like a made-for-TV movie, and I swear I'm not. So I'm outside his door, and I'm kind of knocking his door saying, you know, can I come in and see what you do? And he said, you can come in and sit and watch, but you can't do anything. I said, I just sit and watch. I'd love to do that. A few months went by, and he said, well, since you're here, just come in and just put your hands here and do this, and, you know, hold it this and stand here. And I said, sounds good. And I actually started doing it, and he started teaching me. And over a period of years, I became his apprentice, so I actually learned how to be an energetic healer. Like Barbara and Brennan, like therapeutic touch, Reiki, many of you do it in your TCM practice. I think acupuncture is an energetic healing phenomenon, like many other things. Opened my eyes to a whole different world of healing and what the body and the mind and the emotions meant. But no one knew in my conventional world, so I was going through, became an assistant professor, was doing my research, doing my work, and I had my practice. Exactly, right? And in the evening, I had my own practice. Actually, my healer I worked with, he basically said, you have to go now. It was one of those things. I said, no, please, let me stay. You're my teacher, I must stay. He said, no, you have to leave. And I couldn't leave, and eventually he moved out of San Diego. It's not a joke. I showed up his door, knocked his door, and he wasn't there. So, yeah. So basically, I worked with my friends, I worked with my family, and then eventually people got sent to me I didn't know, and they got better. So I thought there must be some value to this that I was taught and what I do. And the therapeutic aspect, the talking aspect. What my teacher had said, he had said that you're going to incorporate it within who you are, and the tools you have will be the work that you do. It won't be like me, it won't look like me. He could see things, we could see the auras, the colors. I want to see the colors in the auras so badly. Please let me see, what do I have to do, what meditation, what technique? I never could. For me, it was all feeling. For me, it was all the emotions. So when I sit with someone, I can feel what they're feeling. And that becomes a part of who I am, and then the work begins from there. And through the dialogue, I talk with you. As I talk, it distracts you just a little bit. So as we get you into the talk and the dialogue, then the feelings open up a little bit more. As your heart opens, my heart opens, and we connect. And that's kind of the work. And then there's a great tool called human design that came into my life through one of my great therapists and friends. And that gave me a gift of saying, now I know I have my own design of vehicle working, and now I can see yours. So now I can really work with you. So I can work with the aspect of who you are, and it's not me. Because we as parents and teachers and healers, we have a gig that works. And then we think everyone has to align with our gig because it's going to work for them, but it doesn't, because we're all unique. So you use TCM, and you have a very specific way you check the pulse. And by the way, I've worked with acupuncture my whole life. Casey Conover was my acupuncturist for many years. Where's Casey? Is he here? Casey, there he is. Great, fantastic acupuncturist. I've worked with many others. Dr. Nee was my acupuncturist originally. I worked with Dr. Tan a few times. And Valerie Doyle worked with my daughter and my family. So acupuncturists have been very much a part of my life. I also took some Tai Chi and Qigong classes, and we have a great Qigong and Tai Chi teacher here. I'm sure there are many more in the audience. So I use the concept of Qi in my practice as a psychiatrist. That's the basis of my work. So there are many modalities I use: healing, human design, Qi. Not being an acupuncturist or the level of you guys, but I use the concept that serves me well. So eventually I was very blessed, and my time's going to run out, but long story short, I kept these 2 lives separate. The Scripps Center of Integrative Medicine, a great program. Mimi and Ronnie there found out I was a psychiatrist, and now they also have another great psychiatrist who's integrative. His name is Bob Solomon, sitting in the front row, so when we're done, you must meet with him. He actually is a gentleman who works at their center now, and I found out he's working there, but I met them many, many years ago. And we started a dialogue where they would send me clients, and they didn't want it written in the chart, and I didn't want it written in the chart, so we'd meet in the park. And we'd Briggs' office, it was outdoors, it was pretty, it was ideal. No charting, just meet, you talk, you work, you heal, and then you move on. And then I was very blessed. My boss about 3 or 4 years ago came up to me and he said, you know, he goes, what do you do? I said, I'm a psychiatrist, just like you. You're my boss, I work for you, I write scripts. He goes, no, what do you really do? It took me about 4 years. Every year he'd come up and ask me. About the 4th year, 2 years ago, he finally asked me, he said, look, I've asked you every year, I want you to tell me. And finally it felt right for me. being emotionally defined in my human design felt right. I'm very much an emotional being. And I said, I want to tell you what you do, but I want to set a separate time, because I have to prepare myself. This was really exposing who I was to try to integrate the two aspects of who I am as a conventional Western MD psychiatrist and a healer. And it was telling it to someone who I thought wasn't open to it, so he could also say, you know, that's too much, I can't take that, and maybe let you go. So, to make a long story short, this was 2 years ago. He was very open. He was very open to what I had to say. I was very blessed. I'm very grateful to Dr. Solomon, my boss. And he basically said, I have a program called Executive Mental Health. And really, doctors have a board you go to when you're ill, have depression or anxiety or an alcohol or drug problem. Lawyers can go. I'm sure acupuncturists have a place, you have a board that certifies you that you're watched over, you know, nurses do. But executives don't. CEOs and executives, they're so stressed. They have so many issues going on, but they have no one to go to. And he said, so it creates executive mental health, very private, very confidential. People come in, we take care of them. But all the executives come in, and they say, I can't take meds. I don't want anything that's going to make me groggy or drowsy or sleepy. What can you give me, like a meditation or some kind of Tai Chi? And obviously you knew I did a Tai Chi study at Ptsd. I did a Tai Chi and low back pain and depression, so I was somewhat kind of on the edge. He said, this great doctor I want to refer you to, Dr. Body, referred me, and the patient started getting better. So then when he called me, he said, I want to expand our program, and we called it the Center for Wellness and Personal Growth. That's what it's called. That was the name I chose. We see everybody. It's through UCSD. And it's basically allowing me to do the work I do, integrating my Western training and my training as a healer, and allowing a lot of other practitioners to come on board as well to do this work. And we're expanding daily. We've been going on for 2 years. And I know you don't know a lot of integrative psychiatrists. That's also, I guess, why I'm here too. And as I'm saying, Dr. Solomon is an integrative psychiatrist. We are here, and we're trying to get ourselves known. So I have a lot of cards. I'd be more than happy to talk to people afterwards. But I'm very much a believer in the work you do. I believe in the energetics. And just to tie it all in, my belief is I think every physical illness has an emotional component. And I don't mean once you get the illness, it leads to an emotional component. My belief, just my belief, is that emotions that we don't process effectively as children, as adults, and we hold inside our tissues and our cells, then it eventually leads to physical. So physical is the last manifestation of the illness. So if we can get to the emotional, we can get to the mental, we can get to the spiritual if you're open and believe in that, I think we can have a huge healing. And that's the work I do. The physical is the easiest because the docs send me the worst clients, the chronic pain, or the chronic depressed, or the chronic. I say, send them over because you've done everything you can. Now they're really open to say, can we do something else? And I'm sure you see all those clients as well. So I've been blessed. I work with patients who are depressed, who are anxious, who have panic attacks. We even have some bipolar. It's tougher to get them off meds. We even have some schizophrenics, usually stay on meds, but we do some other things. But most of the clients I see, we try to get off meds if they're open to it. I'm willing to keep them on the meds, but I found medication is just one tool when you really need the help. But that's not my belief of the only tool. As a psychiatrist, that's unusual because we're kind of based on the medical model. But I think there's so much more, as you guys know. And for me, just in my own life, what's happened, I just think, opening people up, especially in the Western medical community and MDs, I think that's what you guys do. And I'm really blessed to be here. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm very thankful and have a lot of gratitude as well to be able to sit up here with you guys. And I'll tell you a little bit about my background and kind of how I approach the kind of work that I do. I'm from the East Coast. I've been here since 2002. I've been here since 2002. And I am definitely an East Coast personality, and so you'll hear the Philly accent come out at some point. Say dog or coffee, you'll know that. So I actually started out as a biology major. I swore I was going to be a molecular biologist. And then I got to organic chemistry with Dr. von Frankenberg, who was 144 years old, and decided that this was not going to work. I was way too social, and so I switched over to psychology, and I'm really glad I did, but I'm very glad that I've had at least some of that background in regard to, more of the medical side, and actually became a big part. I teach brain and behavior, and I agree that they're very much interconnected, obviously. So I proceeded to get my master's degree in counseling psychology while I was out there, and then I came out here. I threw all of my eggs in one basket and did everything that everybody told me not to do. And I decided I wanted to go to the only APA is American Psychological Association. I went to the only APA accredited integrative psychological clinical psychological program here in the United States at the time, which was at Alliant, and it is at Alliant. And I quite literally moved across the country to go to this program. I had already been very aware